everybody, this is the Moody Reader, Ashley and Hannah, and I just got finished with a ballet class that I did not want to do, but I did it, so good for me. Long time no see. I was away because, yes, I did get another cold, and I just got really angry about it. And then 2, I had an existential crisis about what the meaning of life was, and the fact that talking about books, I was like, no one cares. And honestly, no one cares. But the third thing that really made me angry about last month, March, right? Yeah, because it's April like 10th as I'm filming this. So the thing that made me really angry about last month was that I read, let's say 9 books. I think it was 9. I'm not actually sure. But I read 9 books, and the majority of them were either meh or made me viscerally angry. So I didn't want to talk about it, okay? I don't like talking about books that I don't like, and that's what I'm gonna do today. But I also have books that, I think there are 2 books in this list, at least 2, that I thoroughly enjoyed. And one of them was a nonfiction and a Christian one at that. So if you don't like that, I'll have timestamps and you can like you can jump around and listen to the books that you would, or listen to the reviews that you would like to listen to. And also, it gets really boring just sitting in your room doing book videos. Like I need something to jazz it up, some pizzazz. So hopefully this gives me pizzazz. If you don't like it, okay. Okay, so I have a bag full of books, and actually this tote was drawn. It was drawn by a former student of mine, and she gave it to me, and I was like, oh! And she was like, this is you. And I was like, thank you. But yeah, that's what the books are in. Yeah, I really just didn't want to do another wrap up in my room. It just seemed really boring and uninspired. So, let's see what we have here. This is in no particular order. This is just kind of, let's get the raging out of the way, shall we? Okay, this is the first book that we're going to talk about. Not the first book that I read in March, but you get the picture. This is The Ballerinas by Rachel Kapelk Dale. Probably butchered that again. This was the book that was about this aged ballerina. She's not aged, she's like 36, and she at one point, sorry, that's my car, Pepper Ann has been through it, she's probably gonna go clunk a lot, but about the ballerina whose name is Delphine, and she how do you wrap this up? She is the child of a dancer, so then you have like the pressure of your mom was like the superstar étoile at Paris Opera Ballet, and she has this like close-knit group of friends, and they're in the Paris Opera school. Then they get into the company, and of course it's like cutthroat and catty, and something happens, and she decides that even though she was gaining speed and traction in the company and growing through the ranks, she decides that she's going to leave for Russia, and she's going to dance there. She becomes a choreographer, but then she ends up getting the opportunity to come back to her home in Paris and choreograph on the company. And that's where the drama takes off from. And quite frankly, I hated this book. I think I gave it 2, maybe 3 stars. 3 would be generous if we're being completely honest. I gave it 2 stars because it pushes some agendas that, if that's what you like, do you. I don't like these agendas. I don't like where this story went. I don't like that this really wasn't, it's touted as like a mystery thriller, but there's nothing mysterious or thrilling about this. Really, it's just, in fact, I don't know how much I can say without spoiling it. So, earmuffs if you don't want spoilers, or just skip ahead a little bit. Basically, she's trying to give her friend another chance at being a star because she basically injured her and made it so that she couldn't couldn't go to the audition that was going to be taking place for like soloist spots. And so she, like, you know, she had her in the hospital for a second, and it kind of derails her career a little bit, in that she doesn't, like, her trajectory isn't as like monumental as it could have been. And so she starts creating this piece for her, and along the way you find that her friend, I think it's Lindsay, yeah, her American friend Lindsay, she is kind of being sabotaged by her husband a little bit. And okay, so the whole crux of it is man equals bad, and I'm not a fan of that plot point. I hate that. I guess you could call it a trope, but yeah, this isn't very thrilling. There's a section where the main character just ends up like getting back together with her former love when they were in school, and that part was icky. Of course, it's meant to be icky, but I just didn't find it very entertaining. This was a slog. There were a couple of sections where I enjoyed what was said, but they were few and far between, and it's just not very interesting to me. This is more of like a hot topic book instead of a mystery thriller, which is what I was looking for. Although the ballet representation is very accurate, I would say. But it also pushes the narrative that, like, in ballet, you are supposed to kind of not care about the fact that you are using your most, like, I guess, fertile years to do this. And, like, I can say all this because I am a ballet dancer. Like, I've lived that life. What does that even mean? But yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. So, tangent over, 2 stars. I mean, the writing style, nothing was wrong with it. I just don't like the subject material. So, the next book we have to talk about, the next one that made me angry, was... Oh my gosh, this one made me so angry. My girl Agatha Christie did me dirty, y'all. Okay, so I'm doing the Buzzwordathon challenge, like, by myself, essentially, by Books and Lala. She has a challenge where every month you read as many or as few books with that certain word in the title. And so March's word was secret, and I don't have a lot of books with secret in them, so I picked this one up, The Secret Adversary, by of course Agatha Christie. And this is a Tommy and Tuppence novel, which is, for what I can tell, very little known, because I didn't know about it, so little known to me. And it's basically Tommy and Tuppence. Tuppence is a woman, and they are childhood friends, and they get back together to start a detective, detective company? A sleuthing company. And their first assignment, they formed the Young Adventurers Ltd, and basically they put out an ad in the paper, and they're like, give us your mysteries, we'll solve them. And spoiler alert, they do solve them. But this, I'm sorry, Agatha Christie can only write a fastidious, egg-headed old man. I'm sorry, I haven't read her Miss Marple. I haven't read that one. But if Miss Marple is old, sure, I'll read it. Otherwise, these children are too young, and there was like this weird love or romantic aspect that got thrown in towards the middle, and I was like, huh? Why? It doesn't need it, especially because this is the first in 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 5 of these books. Let's be real. But yeah, and I don't know. There's a lot of, like, the classic Agatha writing is there, and she made me think it was, what did she do? Miss Agatha, she made me think whodunit was who she wanted me to think whodunit, but then it wasn't whodunit. Do you get me? If you want more info on this, basically, Tommy and Tuppence are broke and they need money, so they start the Adventurers thing. And they get an assignment to find this woman named Jane Finn, because she has info on something that happened a long time ago, but if that info gets back out, they could start like another war, apparently. And that in and of itself confused me. I was confused. I don't think I'm a stupid person, but in my thrillers, in my mystery novels, I'd like it to be a little less political, intrigue-wise. I don't know. I just didn't like this particular plot. I love her writing style. I didn't like the plot or the characters. They were very just there. I don't feel like there wasn't a lot of time to set them up well, in my opinion, so it was a no for me. I don't think I'm gonna read another one in the Tommy and Tuppence saga. But hey, I checked off Secret for the Buzzwordathon, so that's nice. Okay, let's see. What should we do next? Let's knock out 2 at once, shall we? This is a 2-for-1 special deal extraordinaire, because this is a reread. Like I said before, many moons ago, I wanted to do at least 1 reread a month, and I think I've slacked on that like a lot, but it's okay. And the reread I chose because I was really fiending for some Mardi Gras, like, fun times in New Orleans. So I chose The Beautiful and its sequel, The Damned, because I actually do have The Righteous, but there's a car right in front of me. Hi. I do have The Righteous because at the time, I really enjoyed this book series. Not so much anymore. I kind of hate the series. And that's the thing about rereading books, you guys. Sometimes you'll reread a book and you'll hate it. You'll think it's trash. Because this is trash, y'all. What were we thinking? Because this is not like, I think there's like first wave YA, which is like Twilight and Hunger Games and Divergent. Then there's second wave YA, which is like The Beautiful, and I don't like it. If you don't know, The Beautiful is about this girl named Celine, who is from France, and she has recently traipsed across the ocean to New Orleans to start fresh, because she's done some no-nos in France, and she doesn't want to get caught. And she meets this man, his name is Sebastian, and he's just too hot for words, apparently, and there's something strange about him. She's not quite sure if he's human, and he hangs out with this group called the Coeur de Lion. He's kind of like the leader, which the fact that he was the leader of this group, and so Celine lives in a convent. Ha ha he he. Apparently when you leave your phone on your dashboard, it gets hot and it turns off. So where were we? Basically, she gets involved in this like court of vampires, essentially, and there's a murder that takes place, or there's some murders, and the common denominator is Celine. And the reason why I did not like this book is just because Celine is milquetoast. Don't like her. Don't love the insta-love romance, because I like insta-love sometimes. Sometimes it hits. Sometimes it's good. Most times it's bad. So it was kind of bad in this one. I do like Renee Audier's writing style. I've liked it since, what was her first book? The Wrath and the Dawn. I really did like that book, but that was way back in the day. I should reread that one. That would be fun. And so I don't know what I thought I was getting into with the sequel. The sequel is pretty much more of the same. Although, and this is where it gets a little tricky, because it does go, lock the door. It does go in different places that you wouldn't think it should, because we get into territories of like other paranormal things, like not just vampires, it's also other beasties, and you'd think that would be terrible because it's doing too much, and a lot of people didn't like it, and I don't think I liked it at first either, but then I was like, I'm not mad at it. I went to like the most public place to do this, so that's on me. But basically the sequel's more of the same, and you're dealing with like the fallout of what happened in the first book, obviously. And it's weird and jarring because the first book is very much so in Celine and Bastian's perspectives. And then for this one, because Celine's perspective is a little bit compromised, you can't spend too much time with her. So it ends up being everybody's perspective, and it's just a little bit too much. And then you have other people's side plots that don't get enough page time, in my opinion. So I don't really care about them too much. I don't know. I don't know if I can actually read the third book. I don't know. I want to finish it because the fourth book is coming out in December of this year. And so, yeah, I would like to finish it, but I'm just not interested. 3 stars for both of them. Okay, let's get down to business. Ooh, okay, let's talk about a book that I liked. And you guys already know that because I did put up a review of this book. You can watch it if you want. Don't watch it if you don't want. Basically, I read The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway, and I really enjoyed it. This is about an old man and the sea. And he is this old Cuban fisherman who is not catching any fish, so things aren't going great with him. But he has this young friend who was basically apprenticed to him, and then that apprenticeship gets taken away because the parents are like, hey, yo, if he's not bringing in any fish, maybe you shouldn't be his apprentice. He's not very good at his job. And then after a long bout of catching no fish, this old man, after 85 or 84 days, he goes out into the sea, and then he hauls in this huge marlin, but he basically has a days on end bout with this marlin, trying to bring him in at all costs. And it's a whole metaphor for things. I really enjoyed it, and it's very short. If you're looking for a short book that's not too dense, it is a little bit stream of consciousness with the writing style, but this copy I have is like only 127 pages, and I just really enjoyed it. It's a very wholesome, thought-provoking read, and yeah, I gave it 5 stars. Loved it. Or did I give it 4.5? I can't remember. Okay, the next book that I read, which I kind of read most of it in February, but I'm going to count it as a March read because I finished it in March, which doesn't apply to the next book I'm going to talk about, because I did read that one mostly I did finish that one in April, but I'm counting it as a March read because I can. And this one is Persuasion by Jane Austen. And I don't have much to say about this one. I give it 3 stars, I think. And I like Jane Austen's work. I just didn't like this one because, in my opinion, it was not a very romantic romance. And this one, if you don't know, it's about Anne Elliot, who is she's either I can't remember where she lines up in birth order right now at this moment, but she has 2 sisters, and she is by far not her father's favorite. And basically they walk all over Anne, and she at one point was in love with Sir Frederick Wentworth, and he was a captain in the Navy, well, a naval captain. I don't know if he had been at that point when they had been together, but she gets with him and she thinks that she wants to marry him, and then her family tells her no, he's beneath her. And so they cut their ties, and it's like 8 years later, he comes back into her life. So it's a second chance romance. Without the romance, there was none to be seen. Couldn't find it. And it was not my cup of tea where the story went. And Anne was just too much of a doormat for everybody else's opinions. And I get it. They were persuading her to do what she didn't want or didn't need to do. But still, no. And the funny thing is, this is a side tangent, sorry. I joined Catholic Match, but I don't really use it because it just seems like a game that people use and almost no one responds to anything. So we don't use it actively. But I do look at people's profiles, and this one guy had a profile that said, when it came to books, he was like, I really enjoyed Persuasion, and it is far superior to Pride and Prejudice. And I disagree wholeheartedly. That Persuasion is not a romance. I don't know what he's talking about. It was just boring. In my list of books that I really enjoyed from Jane Austen, this one is really low. Really low. So, yes. Like, it was readable, but it was not enjoyable. 3 stars. Okay, the next book that I read was Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. And this is that book that was basically about this man named Ernie who has a very strange family because everybody has killed somebody. And he makes his living writing how-to novels for crime authors. So he's not a crime author, but he writes books for people who want to be crime authors or mystery thriller authors. And he ends up going on this ski resort family reunion. And while there, there's a murder. So it's like closed off and it's an enclosed mystery thriller, and has very, sorry, I'm getting distracted by all the people around me. It has very like cozy, like fireplace vibes, if you will. And it's very tongue-in-cheek, and it laughs at itself a lot, which I enjoyed. And I liked the backstories, like more than the actual mystery itself. I loved seeing the backstories of people and why they were murderers themselves, because nothing is very cut and dried in this novel. And the other thing I liked about this book is that it tells you everything that's going to happen. Essentially, it spoils itself. And I think that's just really interesting. You don't really read a lot of books that are going to spoil what happens, because it'll even say like, oh yeah, and then this person, there is a murder on page whatever, and there is a murder on this page, and there are no sex scenes. And it's just very funny and breaks the fourth wall because he's writing a manuscript of how this whole thing happened. So I enjoyed this one. I think I give it 4 stars. It is one of the better mystery thrillers that I've read recently, because I've read a lot of bad ones recently, and that is why I'm in a reading slump, because I cannot find a good book to save my life. And then, okay. Then I read, this is probably my favorite book of the month. Don't judge me for it. I read What If Love Is the Point by Carlos and Alexa Pena-Vega. And this is a book, this is just a nonfiction, basically memoir about the two of them and how they started out in their early lives and in Hollywood, because obviously Alexa Pena-Vega, she played Carmen in Spy Kids, and that was a whole big, like, that was my childhood. So I loved that, and I was a fan of hers for a long time. So she came out with a memoir, and of course I'm going to read it. And Carlos Pena-Vega was in Big Time Rush, and I just really enjoy memoirs that aren't salacious, I guess. And like, I don't shade any other author that says what they want to say about their lives, because that's their life. But I really do love memoirs that like are hopeful and that have like a Christian element, and they're both like unashamedly Christian. And I just really loved it. It was really wholesome, but not without, like, they didn't leave out their struggles and like their trials and tribulations. So I just really enjoyed this novel, or not novel, it's not a novel, it's their lives. I enjoyed this memoir, and it's really short. And if you want to read about people who are walking their faith life, but also don't have it all together, because it does talk about how they have struggled in their walk with God. So I don't know. I say anybody who is wanting to know more about how to live a more godly, for lack of a better word, life, or you don't know anything about it and you just want to have a nice, you just want to read a nice story about some people's lives. I just really enjoyed it. I don't know. I can't say anything more about it, honestly, because it's two people's lives and you can't really judge them. So I enjoyed that. And then the last book that I read, I'm technically going to include this in this month's wrap up. Oh, by the way, give that one like 5 stars, but like, how can you really rate somebody's life? You can't. The last book that I read in March was The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams, I think. I don't know. This was part of my like read a ballet book and see if I like it. This is a book about this couple. They're not a couple yet, obviously. They're friends, best friends. And the woman was training to be a professional ballerina, gets horribly injured, and then derails her career, so she becomes a teacher instead of ballet. And she is best friends with this NFL football player, and it's basically just a friends to lovers romance, but it is so incredibly, and it's fake dating too, because they end up getting caught by the paparazzi, and they kind of like, there's a lot of shipping that's happening, and so they figure the woman needs some, I don't even remember her name because it was so boring. The woman needs some money and the guy wants to help her, but she's not allowing him to. So he's like, fine, okay, we'll just take advantage of the situation we're in, and you'll get sponsorships and deals and be able to pay for your epic like ballet studio that you want. And while that's all fine and dandy, this book is incredibly inane. It's so stupid. It's the epitome of TikTok, which I didn't realize this book was a TikTok book until I then did a little more research. Apparently it is. So you can imagine a person who hates TikTok reading a book that is TikTok's like love child. So yes, it was just weird because it was very fan servicey. Like the guy basically only thought of her, and he wasn't very masculine to me, and I didn't enjoy that. And it just felt like the author, who is a female, of course, is writing this man, but she writes him like a woman. And I don't know if that's going to offend anybody, but that's just how I interpret it. And yeah, it just was not my cup of tea. It was just also fantastical. It was like a fantasy romance without any magic, just things that would never happen happened. And I hated it. So yeah, that's what I read. I think I gave it 2 stars. If you read it, you'll know why I think it's just so fantastical. And usually I like books that have like a list of things that they need to do to like help the fake dating along. But this one just was really cringy. So yeah, I give it, like I said, 2 stars, I think. Did not enjoy it. And that's why I'm in a reading slump, because I hated most of the books that I read. But yeah, those are the books I read, and I don't know what I'm going to read next. In fact, let's go into our April TBR, in which that I don't have a TBR because I'm a mood reader. Here's what I've read so far. I've read If I Never Met You by Byron McFarlane. That's it. Yep. I'm also currently reading, okay, here's what I'm currently reading. Currently reading, check. Okay, so I am currently reading I'm rereading The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is my reread of the month. Well, I guess If I Never Met You was my reread of the month because I read that one like twice before. It's a great book. Check it out, y'all. And I'm currently rereading The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, like I said. I think I'll probably do a reread of all 3 books in the series because I think I did enjoy that series back in the day. And then I'm also reading The Count of Monte Cristo, which, let me just tell you, I thought that was going to be like, because people keep talking about it, how it's such an accessible classic and how it's just like, it'll blow your mind. It's good, but it's not blowing my mind. So we'll see. We'll see. It's early days. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say for now. If you have any recommendations for what I should read this month, what's left of it, please leave them down below, and I'll try to get to them. I'm also having this kind of crisis because at work it's just like a lot right now, so I'm having a hard time reading, because when I'm focused on something that's like
taking precedence over my life. Like, there's little room for anything else, and reading is the thing that takes the back seat, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope any of this made any sense, and that's what I read. So, like I said, put your recommendations down below, and maybe I'll read them. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.